Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Joshua Betancourt, and this is Paradigm Shifting, a channel dedicated to the idea of improving life through improving relationships, communication, and all kind of using techniques related to neurolinguistic programming, systems theory, meditation, conscientiousness, and the like. So, welcome. Today's chat is about being greater than the sum of our parts. So I'm kind of excited to talk a little bit about that and share some ideas around, being greater than what you think that you are. So thanks for joining, and looking forward to today's talk. Welcome to Paradigm Shifting. Yeah, so I was inspired to talk today about being greater than the sum of our parts because of a few different concepts and ideas that I've been working on lately. And one in particular is related to kind of therapeutic, purposes as it relates to kind of NLP and resolving old issues and old challenges. And one of the concepts within NLP is the idea that we are made up of individual parts, and these individual parts carry different characteristics and different emotions. And that movie, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but Inside Out is a great analogy for this. If you haven't seen it, it's basically, I think it's a Disney movie or a Pixar movie, if I'm not mistaken, but it's this story of a little girl who has these emotions that really determine and dictate her behavior as it relates to the changes she's experiencing in her life. And it's very, similar and relative to today's topic and today's, point of conversation. And not only in NLP are the concepts of, individual parts, but in certain meditative practices as well. Going back and, doing, healing modalities. One of many exercises that kind of is comprised, and that umbrella is related to going back and taking a look at younger versions of yourself and younger experiences or experiences that you had as a younger individual, and then resolving those experiences, especially if they're causing issues or challenges. So I thought, okay, well, yeah, let's talk about that, right? And let's kind of explore what that means. So it was partially wanting to identify that, hey, the makeup of who we are and how we present ourselves to the world is really comprised on a conscious level related to all of these parts that we have. But perhaps we're greater than that, right? Perhaps there's more to us than just the experiences and the content that we've gathered over time, right? The knowledge that we've acquired and the definitions that we've given to ourselves. And one of the challenges that I think comes up as I think through this is the idea that there's definitely in my opinion, right, my humble opinion, a higher power or spiritual aspect related to what makes us and actually what makes us tick. So being greater than the sum of our parts in one view is this idea that we present ourselves and we are here to take care of our families and take care of our friends and succeed in life and succeed in business and live happily and give joy to others and give back and all of those positive things. But I think one of the things that we miss really, or many people miss, is this aspect of our divine nature and incorporating our divine nature into that expression and that experience for ourselves as well as for everyone else. So it's almost as if if we're not taking advantage of that we're not taking kind of advantage of the full scope of our potential, right? So that was an interesting thought to me, and it kind of aligned with what's been recently proposed in quantum physics, right? In theoretical physics, about the idea of multiverse, which is kind of an idea that's put forward related to the possibility that there may be simultaneous universes existing side by side. So it gets pretty complex, and you can go look that up. There's plenty of information out there on the internet that'll provide you with some information around the multiverse. But as I was thinking through that, I was thinking about the idea of how would that relate to a multi-life, right? And what I mean by that is the sense of, we're conditioned to do what we do, to be who we are, to speak the way that we speak, right? Based on what we know and what we've learned. And with all of that information that we've captured and we've used to define ourselves, right? We go about our lives in this monotonous way that I've spoken about in the past. And I was just kind of exploring the idea of, what if there's this multi-life and this potential for duplicity where not only we kind of live and exist as who we are normally, but there's this, deeper divine expression, right, of who it is that we truly are, that has the potential to being or living and expressing itself side by side as we live our days and live, our life, right? So I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but the idea is that I think with all of the changes that we've seen and all of kind of these ideas around awakening and enlightenment and spiritual growth and personal development, what's happening at a deeper level is that we're bringing forward a part of ourselves that has been obscured and has been kind of held and hidden behind a veil. And in doing that work and becoming more familiar and aware of kind of these subtleties related to that expression of who we are, we find that we tap into something that is beautiful and again divine. It's this beautiful aspect of our spiritual self that can come through. So I thought that multiverse analogy was kind of interesting in the sense that there's the potential to not only it just being kind of a multiverse aspect of it, but also embodying that and living that fully, encapsulating that in our lives and being an expression of that and living this multi-life where not only we define ourselves by kind of this physical traditional expression of, hey, this form Joshua, but also the spiritual aspect and the divine aspect that it makes it possible for Joshua to exist. So that was what the message was about today. It was just kind of the sum of our parts, right? From a therapeutic standpoint, going back and taking a look at the individual personality components or the individual parts, and it perhaps could be an inner child or whatever. Doing work with those components of ourselves is beneficial and healing in a great way. And then this idea of being greater than just what you traditionally think you are. I think there was one other thing I wanted to mention about that. So I've done exercises, and I've mentioned before in the past about using an emotion wheel. An emotion wheel is it's basically a wheel, hit me up if you want a copy of it, but it's a wheel of about 100 different emotions. And you can use it in multiple ways, but one of the ways that I've used it in the past is I've given it out to other people and asked them to kind of circle different emotions that they associate with me. And what it does is it just gives me a view of how other people are perceiving me. And I thought that was interesting related to kind of being greater than the sum of your parts, because whenever you do this exercise, you get so much information back about how people are perceiving you. And you're usually like surprised, and you didn't know that kind of you were giving off either that vibe or that emotion, or that you kind of resonate in a particular frequency according to other people. And it's interesting because as you go through that exercise, I've always found that I'm always my worst critic, right? I'm always kind of hardest on myself. And it's really cool to see how beautiful the expression is when kind of other people highlight the wonderful aspects of who you are and what you kind of present and kind of your principles and ideals and how you bring that forward. So That was really cool. But yeah, so then, covered kind of the multiverse and multi-life, right, and being an expression of your spiritual self on a regular basis, or your divine self, or whatever that component of faith is that you have, and how to bring that forward more often and more consistently. And I think, in doing so, you make the world a better place, right? You come from a place of more compassion, more love, more understanding, more peace. And I think, that's the work that not only, heals the world, but it heals ourselves and heals the world. So, yeah, so that's the message for today. I'm glad that you guys are here, and thanks for listening. There is a Facebook group called Paradigm Shifting that is where all this content's being loaded up to. If you're not associated with it, I think, well, you probably are, but if you're not associated or you're on YouTube, hit me up and let me know. I'll be more than happy to add you to the group. This is also being promoted to YouTube. There's a Paradigm Shifting channel there. So yeah, subscribe to that. And yeah, thanks for participating. Let me know if there's any points or topics of information that you think might be relevant to this talk or to this channel. I'd be more than happy to kind of engage in a conversation with you and discussion, and potentially kind of do a little segment on it. So thanks so much for your participation, and thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful Thursday evening, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon. This is Paradigm Shifting.